So when it comes to getting listings in real estate, it all comes down to your time, energy, and focus and where you spend that time. You see, what a lot of people are teaching you to do is, you know what, go out there and just start cold calling everybody and see what happens. Well, wouldn't it make more sense to hone in your focus, hone in your energy on the lead sources that gave you the most for your time? Of course it would. And so a lot of you have been asking me, Brandon, I've watched your videos. Where do you get all these specialty leads? Where do you get your absentee owners? Where do you get your divorce leads? Where do you get your leads that are likely to sell? Because I want them for myself. Well, you're in luck. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through exactly where I get all of my specialty listing leads. And we're starting right now. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you want to learn how to grow your real estate business, start now by subscribing to my channel, hitting the notification bell so you never miss one of my training videos. So today we're talking all about where to find the best listing lead sources in the entire industry. And no, it's not RedX, it's not Vulcan, it's none of those. It's ones that you've never heard of before. And so what I've done for you guys today is I've interviewed the owner of my lead provider for all of my specialty lead sources. It's where I get my absentee owner leads. It's where I get my divorce leads. It's where I get my seller listing leads with people that are likely to sell. You're going to learn exactly where to find those. And I put together an awesome interview with the owner of the company so you can see exactly what the process looks like. And then at the end of this video, in the comment section below, let me know if you have any questions. And then I'll put a link in the description where you can start getting these leads and start implementing the systems and strategies that I teach you in your business right away. So let's get started with the interview. All right, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to another interview, and I've got someone really, really special for you today. And so a lot of you that have been following me for a while know that when it comes to real estate prospecting, I believe in niching down. Instead of just calling and prospecting to everybody in the sea, why not, use the best time, energy, and effort on people and prospects that we know already have their hand raised that may have a need. And so many of you for many, many years have been asking me, dude, Brandon, where do you get these leads? Where do you get this data? Well, I'm pulling back the curtain so you guys can meet Mr. Jared Wright from the Share Group, who's the owner of our data when it comes to specialty leads. And so, Jared, thank you so much for doing this interview today, man.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon. I appreciate it, man. Long overdue, and I'm excited to jump outside of the curtain and, kind of show and talk about the magic behind what we're able to provide.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So what we're going to get into today, and Jared, what I want to talk to you about is, how you got started in the business, the data, the integrity behind your data. Why is it that your data is so damn good? Because we love it. And so let's start off with this. I mean, how did you get into the data business in the beginning?
No, thank you. I live in Omaha, Nebraska, right here in the middle of America. I started in the data business 20 years ago. So in 2000, I worked for a data company called Info Group. Some of you might have heard of it, but it's business to business data, business to consumer data. So I cut my teeth working at Info Group and then started my own little marketing company. And so I had a company for about 6 years where we sold data outside of the real estate business, but a lot of the same compilation characteristics on how we kind of built our data. So we did a lot in the auto industry, for example, make, model, year auto data, a lot of mortgage information, which ties into what we're kind of talking about here with the niche real estate data. And so I started doing some consulting with a client in Springfield, Missouri in around 2017. We had just kind of launched another chapter of the data ventures and the relationships we had through the compilation, and hit the ground running really in the real estate space about 2.5 years ago. The core, I guess, compilation, Brandon, on what we do to kind of build the data is we take a bunch of different sources and kind of marry them together. We've seen, through history, trials and errors that some of the data that comes on that transactional record that we might get at the county courthouse doesn't really have the same quality of the phone number or the email address that we're trying to target. So Behind the scenes, we license and aggregate a variety of different data sources that really helps us kind of marry the data together. There's that transactional data that lets us know that it's an absentee record, or they might have a lien on their house, or they're divorced recently. Then we'll add that information with some non-transactional demographic information like age and income, presence of children, age of children, some of those variables that really kind of gives us that red light of, oh man, these guys might be more prone to sell, or might be a lead for our audience here today. And last but not least, we spend a lot of time on the sourcing for the phone number. That's the most important piece of us, is trying to in a numbers game world, trying to really get a hold of that prospect. And so we spend secondary revenue towards voter registration data, for example, where people are online registering for a product or a service with their phone number and email. We're tying that data back to that transactional record, and that's kind of the nuts and bolts of our magic as far as the quality of records that we're trying to create.
Man, that's awesome. I didn't know any of that either, so I just learned.
News, yeah. Don't tell anybody. No,
that's
kidding.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, our audience is real estate agents. One thing, Jared, that I think you agree with is kind of how I started off this interview, and that is, for somebody who's looking to get the most from their time, effort, and energy when it comes to building their business, I think you would agree that these people should spend time in a niche, in an area where they know there could be a need. And you being in the data business, that's essentially how you built your business, right? Like, what's your philosophy when it comes to people building their business with good data versus just going after everything out there?
No, we always pitch, quality over quantity. That's just kind of our mission statement when we're talking to clients, because at the end of the day, I would rather put together, the best 3,500 records, let's say, than just kind of throwing 10,000 in your area for you. And that allows us to really kind of dig in and communicate together on what that best target audience is. And I think from a feedback standpoint and an ROI standpoint, it's just us putting our best foot forward with the client to say, let's focus on quality over quantity right out of the gate. And for us in our business, we've seen more returning customers and a lot higher ROI, just kind of putting our best foot forward and not necessarily trying to give them a total amount of records that they can't facilitate per se, but also a quality number that is going to, benefit, like you said, building that business, putting that legwork in, because at the end of the day, it takes that follow-up. It takes what Brandon's teaching you guys every day to build a successful business. And then with a quality targeted data set included with it, I think it's going to help everyone's business.
Awesome. So let's talk about that for just a second. For you guys that are watching, don't worry. I'll put a link below this video where you can get your hands on some of these specialty leads that Jared and I are talking about today. But let's talk about data sets for a second. So let's talk specifically for real estate agents. So I teach agents how to go after, again, specific targeted opportunities. Some of those being my top 2 lead sources, which are absentee owners and the divorce niche. And so there are 3 levels of data sets that you guys provide. Can you kind of talk through those 3 things?
Yeah. Yep. So as we were, getting our clients' feedback and building this, building our empire in the real estate market, the 3 lists that we've kind of developed have been the most successful for our clients. Is number 1, the absentee list, non-owner occupied data. We've built a process that allows us, like I said, the marrying multiple sources with a high quality phone, a high quality email on the non-owner occupied data. The second list is the likely to sell model. That takes the transactional data that I was talking to you about before, like length of residence, equity present within that homeowner. Then we take the non-transactional demographic information like age of children, number of children, and then we size of home, and we build an algorithm where we think that these people are more likely to sell. And even in some cases, Brandon, we see people that have lived in their house 15, 16 years plus, we can't get them out of their house. So there's a range from like 9 to 15 that really hits us as that likely to sell model. And it's based geographically as well. So likely to sell is list 2. And then the third list encompasses what you talked about with the divorce lead. It's our distressed lead. These are data that is, trying to find people off market that are looking maybe to utilize some of the equity they have in their home, or an inherited property, or perhaps a life-changing event like a divorce or a death, that we really that allows us to build a relationship and have them sell their property at the end of the day. And so the distressed property includes pre-bankruptcy, pre-foreclosure, lien information, divorce, like I said, absentee, in some cases out of state only, or just immediate absentee, and then vacant properties as well.
Awesome. I mean, that's huge. I mean, what I teach a lot of my students is just those 3 lead sources is enough to build a massively successful real estate sales business. Yeah. So that's really cool, man. So you are getting, let's get really specific though. You're getting the 2 things that are most important to real estate agents, which is cell phone and email. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct. So, geographically speaking, and becoming a more popular means of communication is that cellular number. In some cases, like Omaha, Nebraska, we do see some success still with landline. In some rural areas or older audience, landline's efficient. But yeah, you have landline, cell phone, and the email address. The cell phone and email address are derived, like I said earlier, from the same sourcing. It's all opt-in information. So they're putting their email and their phone number, confirming that information as a self-reported, opted-in variable for that record. We're able to match that back to that physical address. But nowadays with prospecting, we are using email addresses, not necessarily just from an email deployment standpoint, but from a retargeting standpoint. So, how are you going to display your message that you're calling, or your grassroots phone effort into maybe a digital message, as well as like uploading the data into Facebook and targeting the same audience with a digital ad.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's a really good tactic right there. I mean,
yeah.
Most people think about email marketing with actual sending emails. What you're talking about is not even using the inbox at all, right?
No. And it's, and we push a lot of email for large brands. That's a separate conversation outside of the real estate world, but it's setting the expectation of what the success is. And not having a relationship with an email address and not having a brand is a little bit harder. But if you're able to target that same audience that you're building a phone relationship with, or perhaps a direct mail relationship with, it becomes a lot more beneficial on the digital front with displaying an ad.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. That's great, man. So very cool. So let's shift gears and I guess kind of end this with a couple things. But number one is, where do you see kind of your industry going with data and information and things getting harder and harder with, do not call lists and all this stuff, right? All these regulations, where do you kind of see that going in the future?
Oh, that's a good question, and being compliant and being, courteous of the rules and regulations is an important piece of our business. But I see the business growing, not just in the direct mail space, but in the calling space. A lot of agents that I see, or professionals, are relying on maybe a third-party service for the calling, or trying to make that New Year's resolution to pick up the phone and do it themselves. And that's what Brandon's really good at. And the agents that we deal with that are, adopting the processes that you have, Brandon, of picking up the phone, and really the lead follow-up is what's going to kind of set these guys apart into the future. For me, the data quality is always going to be there. I think just with the sourcing, it's just kind of like the wild, wild west these days. And so being able to trust a worthy source and a worthy expert in an environment to find the right audience is going to be beneficial in the future. I think it's just, data is kind of a tricky world, right? You just don't know for sure what you get. And so, asking the right questions when you use a source, but I think the future of the business, I'm kind of rambling here as I'm long-winded, Brandon, but the future of for us is just, continuing the data quality, I think, and really going through the process to make sure that we're compliant with how we get the data, and then relying on people like you to teach these guys how to use it and be productive with it.
I love it. And that was important for me. I mean, when we established a relationship with your company up front, for both of us, it made sense long-term. Well, the only way that long-term relationship works is the integrity of the data.
Right.
And I have been doing this for now almost 17 years, in the mortgage space and in the real estate space, doing direct phone prospecting to build my business. getting data from multiple areas, info group being one of them back in the day. And I gotta tell you, man, like your data is by far the best. And that's why I tell everybody. That's why I tell all my students to get their information from you. And so what's the best way for people to do that? Like I'm going to put a link below this video. I think we created a website for people to place their order, and kind of what's the process look like from there?
Yeah, so we have a landing page that you can fill out your name, your email, your phone number, and then geographically where you want to target. And then we can set up a call and let's spend 15 minutes together kind of discussing what your expectations are and what your goals are and kind of the process that you're trying to implement. And it's pretty easy from there. We have starter programs for new and upcoming real estate agents, but we're also supplying data for large brokerages and investment groups throughout the country. And so one thing that is important to me too, Brandon, and we tell your students this is exclusivity. And so if there's a certain area that is occupied by our data, then we won't resell that area. And so that's important to us too, because it'd be like me splitting tens playing blackjack. It just doesn't do anyone justice for me to try to sell the same list in the same area. And not going that someone might do that, but it's an integrity thing for us. But it's an easy process to get a hold of us. Brandon will post our website, my phone number. It's my direct cell phone. So we're an organization of 5 employees. We have a marketing person and a couple sales guys and myself as the owner. So we're easy, accessible. We're high service oriented, and like Brandon said, we want to sell a quality product.
I love it, man. Well, seriously, Jared, thank you so much. I mean, this partnership means so much to us because what you guys do every single day allows us to succeed in our business. So keep doing what you're doing. Yeah. We love it. We love it. And again, before you guys leave, check the link in the description below this video. I'll have a link where you can talk to Jared and get a lead source that, number one, the competition is super low. That's the other thing, right? We can talk about that. Where nobody else is going after this lead source. And I teach you guys all the systems, tactics, strategies, everything you need to succeed. But Jared, thank you so much, man.
No, totally. Such a great point really quick too, Brandon. Yeah. A lot of these people are using absentee leads for maybe direct mail. They're not calling. And so you're already putting away the competition with picking up the phone and calling these targeted sources like Brandon says. So I appreciate it, man. It's been great, and look forward to hearing from every one of you guys, and have a great day.
Awesome, Jared. Thank you so much, buddy. I'll talk to you soon, all right?
All right, peace.
All right.